It fills me with mistrust.
Ward Devine tells me he's been working for months to get answers and solutions about the noises coming from the Truman Parkway.
And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what was going on that parkway, but it sounded like they were having drag races out there.
The noise coming from the Truman Parkway has been a story WTOC has been following for years, after one side of the parkway got a noise barrier and the other didn't.
That wall resonates all the noise onto us 24/7. We don't ever get a break.
Back in 2014, neighbors were asking for a sound barrier to be put up. And in May of that year, Chatham County commissioners voted unanimously to contract professionals to conduct a noise study for the Truman Parkway, as well as put more police patrols to slow down some of the fast drivers on the road. But that didn't help, because in October of that same year, neighbors were still having issues. And almost 10 years later, in 2022, Sean Mannion, who lived in the Edgemere-Sackville neighborhood, told WTOC he was working with local officials to get sound barriers for his neighbors.
The noise is just getting out of control. We can't even have a quiet night to do whatever. It's just like, how loud can it get?
Now, 2 years later, Devine says he's reached out to the city, his alderwoman, and the county, fighting for the same thing neighbors were 10 years ago.
Best case scenario is a sound barrier that is substantial enough to knock down the sound. Start at Duren on that access ramp and go to Bacon Park Drive.
I've reached out to the city to see if something like this was possible, and they sent me this statement saying, quote, "At the request of residents, the city has hired a consultant and a sound study is being completed." After I got that statement, I asked the city when the study started and where it was taking place. They sent me another statement that said, in part, quote, "The study was given to a consultant on June 13th of 2023. The final draft has been submitted and is under city review prior to public release." It went on to say the first study was for the Fairway Oaks neighborhood, and a second study would be for the Edgemere-Sackville neighborhood. The city has spoken with residents about the process and will continue to communicate with them on the next steps. When I shared these statements with Devine, this was his response.
Why not share that they were doing the study? Why did we have to resort to having media involved to get an answer?
Now neighbors have two new questions that they need answered. They first want to know how the city plans to communicate with them, because they say they've clearly been missing the past messages that have been sent out. They also want to know who's going to be paying for the solution that comes from that sound study. Will it be the city, the county, or GDOT? I took those questions to the city. They told me their Senior Director of Transportation Services, Stephen Henry, has spoken directly to residents on the phone who have reached out to request an update. They also told me they're working closely with partners in the county and GDOT regarding potential solutions. But again, they aren't ready to share the results of their study or what happens next. Until then, these neighbors will have to wait and try to tune out all of the noise. But WTOC Investigates is going to continue to ask for updates. In Savannah, I'm Aria Janelle.